With the Draw Sharp brush, we can sharply push down the geometry where needed. To make it visually more clear that these will be separate parts. Let's move on from the legs for a bit. Let's see what we have. Those feet really look bad. We can make them much better. First, let's use our trusty old snake hook to pull on the shape, so that we can make the foot and lower leg conform better to each other. We can also use the inflate brush where we want to add more volume. It's good to have a bit too much volume, then at least you have something to work with. Same for the bottom of the feet. We need to inflate them to add some volume. Join the legs and the feet with Ctrl J. Remove the new facet with facet from visible. And remesh to turn the joined objects into one mesh. Let's use the clay strips brush and smooth brush to make the feet and lower leg flow better together as a shape. Don't worry if your shapes are blurry and lumpy, you need to have enough volume first before you can make it look good. Then with the scrape brush, we can start defining flat areas. We are simplifying and streamlining the shape of the lower leg and the feet with the scrape brush. To make the feet flat at the bottom, we can use the Line Project tool. With the Draw Sharper brush, we can draw the separation between leg and foot. This would probably also be easier with the line stroke method. To erase these lines, you can use the smooth brush. I will draw a mask here as I want to shrink this part. Ctrl I to invert the mask. Then, with the mesh filter set to inflate, we can drag to the left to shrink the unmasked part. Hold Shift for more control. It seems difficult to use inflate on this area, so I'll try a different method. Instead, we can just use the move and scale tools from the brush tools. Apparently, the origin is somewhere far from the object, which is making moving and scaling difficult. So we'll solve that by going to Set Origin, Origin to Geometry. Now it's easier to do the moving and scaling of the unmasked area. I will shrink the mask and remesh it. We can use the Draw Sharp brush to make this look a bit more defined, and the Scrape brush to make the edges sharper. It's still a bit lumpy, but a huge improvement over the first version of the foot. Of course, we can still make it look better. Let's save our hard work. I think it's time to do something about these lumpy hands. First, let's add some more volume using the Clay Strips brush. I want to turn off the mirror modifier for all the fingers at once by holding Alt and clicking on this. The reason that didn't work is because I have Emulate 3-button mouse enabled for some reason. With that disabled, if I hold Alt and click on something, it affects all the objects that are selected. With the mirror modifier disabled, the mirrored side won't block our view of the hand. I'm just remeshing these finger and thumb parts to make sure they have enough geometry to sculpt on. I'm not really sure what robot hands are supposed to look like. So I'm just making sure there's enough geometry and that they are smooth enough. Then we can try to find some interesting shapes later using displacement maps. Of course, you could also save a lot of time by just using some pre-made hands for this part.